Hello viewers, this is Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. I'm going to do some viewers' questions here, and the questions are around, will Trump shut down the government again, and will there be a national emergency declared? Now, if you've been following my readings, you will know that Trump is increasingly becoming more and more isolated, that the Republicans are breaking ranks, really. We had Susan Collins come out from Maine saying that she's not wedded to supporting Trump in 2020. We've got criticism of Brad Pascali, his campaign manager, 2020 campaign manager, saying that he lost, his strategy wasn't right in the midterms. So there's moves against the Trump 2020 campaign bid. The RNC has moved to really move a motion that there will be no further candidates for 2020 other than Trump. So there is insurrection amongst the Republican ranks. Of course, we here at Tarot Central, we know that it's unlikely that Trump will contest 2020, well, at least according to these tarot cards. We've got the Mueller investigation really getting closer and closer to Donald Trump. And we've got, more and more evidence coming forward regarding the potential alleged conspiracy between Trump and Putin. So all these things are on the table. However, in the middle of that is the desperation of this current president. So I'm also going to ask about Venezuela. As you know, I read on that a week ago about. I didn't impart this, but later on, after I'd done that reading, I actually did see some troops in Venezuela. I'm not sure whether they were US or whether they were Russian. I mentioned it on my Patreon channel, but I just didn't really I'm not into causing panic or being sensationalist like that. However, I will read on Venezuela and see what the cards can tell us. But first to the shutdown. I'll bring the laptop down so that you can follow the cards. I'm using my Lo Scarabeo deck today. It's one that is particularly penetrating when it comes to Donald Trump. So let's get started. Okay, so I'll just open up for the reading. Okay, so when I actually did open up for that reading, I got Trump as the emperor, sitting in the White House as the emperor. So this is how he's dealing with the things that are happening to him at the moment. He's falling back on his power, and he's not afraid to use it. Once a person reaches a certain desperation, they will try and pull a rabbit out of a hat, and that's what Trump has done all his life, which I guess confirms my intuition that he's not going to go easily. It's not going to be tomorrow. It's not going to be this month. It's not going to be February. And I'll say it again, it is a political process that will remove Donald Trump. And that's why I keep reading on the Republicans, because at the end of the day, the Republicans have the Senate, and there's going to have to be enough evidence coming forward from Robert Mueller for the Republicans to basically what happened to Richard Nixon, for them to say, okay, we've got a criminal in the White House. If we continue, there'll be impeachment processes started by the Democrats. If we can continue to block these, then we're going to be in real trouble in 2020. So when is it time to, as I said, when is the line in the sand being drawn? And that's when you'll see the pressure put on Trump to go. Now, at that point, he'll probably be trying to do deals with a prosecutor, because remember, Mueller is a special counsel. So, all right, let's restart here. Will Trump shut down the government again? Will Trump shut down the government again? I do see him signing something, but I'm not sure it's a shutdown. It could be around that national emergency, which we'll get to again. He might be desperate enough to try something like that. Will Donald Trump shut down the US government again? Will Donald Trump shut down the US government again? Shut down the government again. Okay, so we've got the strength card here. So what this is telling me is that he will try and, in some way, try and show his strength. He was humiliated last time. He backed off. It wasn't a good look for him amongst his base. Now, there will be some kind of proposal coming forward, to, perhaps indeed to avoid a shutdown. That's interesting. Now, we know that there's legislation Mitch McConnell has opened the way for legislation to come forward to say that there will be no further shutdowns. We cannot have a president shutting down the government again. Now, Mitch McConnell has indicated, not he will, indicated that he might support that. Now, the Queen of Pentacles here is coming forward. Now, this is resourcefulness. And it's pointing to I think there's going to be some kind of deal done in February around border security. That's my feeling on this. Now, we've got the Seven of Cups. So, again, we've got this illusion and delusion. Who's doing this? It's Donald Trump. It's an interesting card to pull to mirror the Strength card. It's almost throwing the smoke screen up so we can't see clearly. So what's he going to do? He's going to be talking about immigration. And I go to Venezuela here again. I go to South America and potential agendas there. So in relation to the Knight of Chalices or the Knight of Cups, which is some kind of proposal coming forward, we've got the Seven of Wands happening here. And the Seven of Wands really is in relation to self-defense. So whatever proposal that comes forward, this is really around trying to protect Donald Trump from competition. So it's going to be a show of strength in some way. And we've got beginnings and endings. So, again, this denotes the significance of what's going on in America. The eyes of the world are on the US. But in its literal sense, it's mirroring the Queen of Pentacles, which again is this really material resourcefulness. And the Queens, as you know, are about stability and security. So it could be, I won't, as I said, get ahead of myself here. Will Donald Trump shut down the government again? I think it would be hard for him, but it's not to say he wouldn't do it. And again, leaving people out in the cold. This reading is showing that he potentially could shut down the government again as a show of strength to get the proposal that he wants through. However, there are cards here that are indicating it would actually be very hard for him to do that again. And we've got the Queen of Pentacles coming forth in relation to financial stability. So if it is shut down again, it won't be for very long. So, God, he'd be mad to do it again, wouldn't he? But he is mad. So look, he could as a show of strength shut down the government, but I've got a proposal coming forward. So it could be that he threatens to shut down the government, and we've got some kind of bipartisan negotiation on border security which will satisfy Donald Trump. All right, let's have a look if he will declare a national emergency, because this was my feeling that he would be, even though it would go straight to the courts, it would be unlikely to be successful. It's this show of strength that I'm feeling. with Donald Trump, that he needs to have a show of strength in order to really survive. He's a strong man. He's strongman, not a strong man. He's a thug. He's a bully. And these are the sort of things, the tactics that he's likely to use. He has used all his life. Yeah. Look, if he shuts it down, it would only be for a short while. And there would be some kind of plan B there this time. When he shut down before, he didn't have any plans, and it just went on and on and on. But I just have the feeling he would be unlikely to do that again. But you never know with him. All right, will he declare a national emergency? Will he declare? I'm just getting the tanks here, but I'm going to Venezuela. Why am I going there? If there was immigration or refugees coming from a conflict in Venezuela, that would deepen his argument for a border wall. Well, let's ask the cards. Okay. Will Donald Trump declare a state of national emergency in order to build his wall? I'll read on Venezuela in a minute. Okay, so we've got loss here. So he's feeling the Five of Cups, he's feeling the loss of all of this quite substantially. He really was panned from all corners. We've got transition and moving on. That's an interesting card. But we've also got the Soldier coming forward in this reading as well, the Knight of Swords. Now, it could be around. He could use the Venezuela issue to, in some way, strategic way. Now we've got the Hermit here, so he is isolated. So he had a loss last time, and he is very isolated at the moment. But he is doing deals here. He's doing deals in relation to moving people on, or to moving on in some way. Let's just keep it going. He's doing deals here. And we've got Judgment coming forward. He would be heavily judged for doing something like that. It would go straight to the courts. It wouldn't succeed. We've also got Mueller making an appearance. This reading is quite broad. It's also picking up the Mueller investigation. And so national emergencies, shutting the government down, potentially friction in Venezuela is all playing into Trump's, plan of deflecting away from the Mueller probe. And of course the money news. Isn't it ironic that Mueller comes into this reading quite strongly? And the Seven of Pentacles, really he's trying to deflect, but it's not really working for him. Look, this reading is showing that he won't declare a national emergency simply because he's isolated on it. I don't think the Republicans would support that. However, there's something coming through here in relation to Venezuela and deflecting from the Mueller probe. And of course, I spoke about that as I was shuffling these cards. At the end of the day, there's going to be judgment on Donald Trump, and it's going to stop him from doing anything outlandish. We've got his CIA and his head of national security breaking ranks with him. We've potentially got those in the Pentagon who may be loyal to Mattis, so there would be dissension there. We've got Republicans breaking ranks. Really, Donald Trump's only friend at this point in time is probably Vladimir Putin, and he's not very much of a friend, is he? Okay, so no to the national emergency. However, maybe a short shutdown. Okay, maybe a short shutdown. Although I'm feeling that. Yeah, I'm feeling that he would be absolutely mad to do something like that. But if there is a shutdown, it would only be for a short period of time because he just doesn't have the support. He does not have the support. All right, so Let's go to Venezuela. Okay, Venezuela is the world's largest exporter of oil, and we've got to see what is happening in Venezuela in that context. We've got resources. So we've got the sitting president. Go back and have a look at my other reading, Maduro, who actually was elected as the president I think it was last year in May. However, there was widespread condemnation of that election as being undemocratic. Maduro is a socialist government, and he has the support of Russia. Now, the opposition leader, who hasn't been elected yet, however, as I said, there's that widespread condemnation that the last elections weren't democratic, is supported by the US. Now, in the sitting president's camp, we've got Russia, we've got China, we've got Syria, we've got Turkey, we've got the Saudis. Surprise, surprise, we've got that nexus of alliances. Sitting in the Trump camp is, of course, the Western democratic allies of the US. Australia has also thrown its support behind the opposition leader as well. So what makes this significant is that Bolton was seen with a notepad, and on it was written 5,000 troops, potential for 5,000 US troops to go to Venezuela. Is this what was in my dream? I saw troops landing on the seaside, like on not a peninsula, but like on a seaside. It was actually a community. Is this what I'm seeing? The other aspect of this is Russia. Russia is supporting the sitting president as well through, I think, some hired mercenaries, but also it's landed some military or a military jet there. It has landed military jets there in the past, and it has funded this Maduro in relation to the military. So, of course, Donald Trump, a war at this point in time would be very advantageous for Donald Trump. All of this is taking place on America's doorstep, so it is quite worrying. I don't have a moral position on it, other than it's a shame that there has to be any interference at all. But I guess when you've got a dictatorship there, it's just that the agendas here go so much deeper. The agendas go to the oil. It's all about the oil for Russia and for the US. So let's have a look. Will there be war in Venezuela? Well, let's be more specific. Is US going to send troops to Venezuela? Is US going to send some troops to Venezuela? US going to send some troops to Venezuela. I'm getting that they may, but it might be to guarantee the safety of the opposition leader on that pretext, or maybe it's not a pretext. They might say we're going to send some troops in to guarantee the opposition leader's safety and the safety of our diplomats. But let's have a look here. Okay, so we've got this work going on behind the scenes, I think, to actually mobilise troops to Venezuela. We've got the 5 of Cups here, which is loss. And we've got the 7 of Pentacles, which of course is around choice commitments, also potentially around abuse. So we've got some kind of abuse going on here in relation to sending those troops there. We've got the 6 of Cups coming forward. In this deck there is a kind of Adam and Eve aspect to this card, where you've got potentially a poisoned apple being offered, and the background to this card is quite smoky, quite cloudy. You can't really see through it. So there's going to be some kind of proposal here that maybe not what it seems. Loss, and we've got the endings and the beginnings. happening here. I hope that's what that means. And of course the smoke screens, illusion and delusions. And we've got the money aspect, the Ten of Pentacles, the money aspect. This is, really giving and receiving loans and debts. That's interesting. And of course we've got the Soldier coming forward here. Oh, they may not. It's really close, this reading. So it could be, and then we've got Trump mobilising his soldiers. Okay. Potentially America could send troops, but I'm not. It's not clear to me at this point in time. What is clear is that there's some smoke screens going on with Venezuela and the US at the moment. There is another agenda here. Now, because I've got the loans and debts, I'm wondering what sort of what are those agendas? I mean, I think I need to have a look at, will Russia send troops in? Potentially US may send a small, I don't know what to call, platoon, a small number of troops there, maybe to just guard those diplomats or ensure their safety, maybe to provide support for that opposition leader. But let's have a look at Russia. Is Russia likely to send troops in? Is Russia likely to send troops in? Yes. Is Russia likely to send? Is Russia? Okay, that we've got self-defence. It's certainly going to help the sitting president defend himself. But how? Is it going to be through mercenaries or hired guns, if you like, or are they actually going to send some troops in? We've got the Knave of Cups, so that's indicating that there may well be some kind of help for that sitting president. We've got the Queen of Wands, again to ensure some kind of stability here. But it's inspired stability. There's also a mastery and a self-assurance about this kind of help that Russia might be given. And it is all about the oil reserves and resources and income sources for Russia again. And we've got the Queen of Swords, which is interesting. That could... there could be some proposal come before the House here in relation to, mixed up in all of this, if Russia's proven to help that sitting president. But there is new beginnings here and new starts for Venezuela. Will Russia send some troops in? And this is the card of retreat, the Four of Wands, but also disappointment. Again, it's an unfolding situation, and we've got new starts and really around supporting that existing president. This is clearer to me than the US. Both of them are a close call, which really is telling me this is what is being parlayed at the moment in Russia and in the US. Will we send troops in? It's more likely that Russia might send some support to that sitting president. Well, wonder what would happen in that regard. Well, of course, Congress might then become involved, and there might be some forces, a small amount of forces sent in there. They could send these troops in on the pretext of not pretext, it's a reality, pretext of protecting those the sitting president and the opposition leader. Russia has said if the US sends troops in, where there will be consequences for that. So, will there be a war? Will there be a war between the US and Russia in Venezuela. Will there be a war? No. Okay, that's what I'm getting, but let's see what the cards are saying. Will there be war between US and Russia in Venezuela? No, I don't think so, but we'll see. So we've got some monetary aspect here. This is the card again of enriching oneself, luxury, sufficient resources to govern. We've got circles of support here. Remember, we've got very close relationship between Putin and Trump. There is some sort of manipulation going on here, things that we don't necessarily see. This is around choices and weighing up multiple options. The loans and debts. This came forward in the other reading as well, which made me think of Trump's potential alleged indebtedness to Russia, the money, and we've got the relationships potentially between Putin and Trump. And we've got endings and beginnings in relation to the kind of manipulation that's coming forward here. These are, then it's quite a complex thing here. And we've got the show of strength again. And we've got the government. Okay, so show of strength, governments. And we've got secrets. Okay, I think everyone should keep their eye on Venezuela. We've got grief and anxiety potentially for the people of Venezuela, and we've got this support either for the sitting president or for the opposition leader. Okay, no, US and Russia are not going to come to war. It's not going to come to that in Venezuela, but there are this reading's showing that there are complex agendas here between the government of Russia and the Trump government, and there are multiple agendas here. And what is sticking out is that it's around the real battle here is around the oil, Venezuelan oil, as the largest exporter, and it's around making sure that the economies that rely on Venezuelan oil keep getting the oil. And if there is bloodshed in Venezuela, then and an unstable regime, then that's not going to happen. But I do feel there's going to be more diplomacy that will, rather than landing troops there, there's going to be a diplomatic process. However, there could be some small I guess, military support. Russia might land another couple of jets. The US might send in a small amount of troops, really, to guarantee the safety of their diplomats. But it's not going to escalate into a large-scale war, which was my fear, that that in some way this would deflect. I saw Congress stepping forward quite strongly in that reading. So what we've got to remember are there are checks and balances on Trump, and I think that clear heads will prevail. I don't think he will get what he wants. There's something between he and Putin going on here in relation to the agendas. But I really feel that there's a way to go with Venezuela. There's a working through process, but at the end of the day, there will be diplomatic solutions here. But there's a way to go yet, and so it's kind of like a critical situation. And we also need to remember that the UN has already been discussed by the UN. And I feel that at the end of the day, these diplomatic processes will trump, if you like, any agenda of Trump's and potentially any agenda of Vladimir Putin's. Ooh, Venezuela. Okay, all right. I hope you enjoyed that, viewers.